the title of this report is it does just stop you in your tracks, right? Should I have just stayed? And for me, it's quite jarring to think someone's reconsidering that because of housing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So on behalf of Rise Women's Legal Centre, I interviewed 48 survivors of violence in BC who have gone through some kind of family law process as well as experienced family violence and faced housing challenges. And over, what they described were the barriers they faced after they had left their abusive relationship really often put them in really dangerous situations. So people continue to experience financial precarity and housing precarity to the point that they wonder if they've made the right choice in leaving. And the title of the report, Should I Have Just Stayed?, it comes directly from a quote from one of the survivors I interviewed. And why it was so important for me to have that as the title is I heard that over and over again. So people within transition houses telling me that they aren't sure what their next step is and that they may have to return to the abusive relationship. It's not what they want to do, but it is potentially their safest option. We know that in BC, of the people who leave transition housing, because transition housings are supposed to be temporary, they aren't long-term solutions. Of the people who leave, 25% of people will go on to find some kind of housing, but only 4% of those are going to find safe, affordable housing. The other 75% of people are going to remain temporarily sheltered or return to their abusers.
Wow, that is a staggering percentage.
Yeah, and that's one of the big pieces of this report is we wanted to look at how we've known for a long time that family violence and housing interact with each other. People are facing higher rates of housing precarity when they've experienced violence. But what we really wanted to look at is where does family law come in? We know that there's many remedies within the family law system that are there to support people to get their legal entitlements. So thinking of child support, spousal support, division of property, you're leaving a shared family home, who's going to live there? All of those pieces are really family law questions. So our research focused on what are survivors' experiences going through family law processes when they're facing housing challenges.
Okay, so given that question, what are the barriers then?
Yeah, there's a lot of barriers. So some of the pieces are to get those financial entitlements, because we have to really consider that many abusers have experienced economic abuse within the relationship. And what that means is they're leaving often with very few financial resources, because within the relationship, part of the violence perpetrated towards them was that they weren't allowed to save money, they weren't allowed to access the joint accounts. All of those pieces makes it very difficult to leave and very difficult to pay rent and start at a new housing after you've left. So looking at how are people being benefited by the family law process to get child support? Well, the first thing they have to do is go through a court process. So going to court, we know, is very inefficient, it's very costly, it's very challenging. Even without hiring a lawyer, you're going to have to take the day off work. You're maybe going to have to take multiple days off work. And all of that does not necessarily mean that you're going to have child support deposited into your bank account next week. So we look at all of the pieces of family law that are there to help people and really look at what is actually happening, which is why speaking to survivors was such an important part of this project.